Hello everybody and welcome to the Megavision Show. It is episode 45 and today is the 2nd of August 2020. With me today we have Scotty Moe and Chris Powell and I am Graham. So hey, how's it going guys?
Alive.
Alive is good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
So what about you, Chris? Are you alive?
I think so. It's a little hit or miss right now, but we'll see.
Oh God! I hope this isn't a state of things to come for us, but I'm alive as well. But I think I'm more jovial than you guys for that. So let's just crack on with it, guys. Scotty, what have you been up to this week?
Not much. Yesterday we did a Bruin View, which is that local one-screen theater I've mentioned before does a thing where, you know, if you pair, you know how people like pair drinks and pair wine to meals or whatever, they pair beer to a movie. And we do not condone irresponsible drinking at Megavisions here, but it made Rachel and myself realize that we can't drink like the kids do. And this movie that they had was called We Are Little Zombies. And I was excited for it because the description, they gave a one-sentence description. Four of these kids, all their parents died, so they formed a rock band, a chiptunes rock band. I'm like, okay.
That sounds good.
So it's a very artsy film. You know, a film is artsy where every other scene you say to yourself could be a good desktop wallpaper, you know. But no, they had this thing. The first Bruin View we did, they did it with Scott Pilgrim, and they had this beer called Press Tart was the first one, and they had some other ones going throughout. But it's cool because at the theater they would bring you a drink for certain scenes to pair along with certain scenes. And so it's pretty neat. It's a fun little event thing. And so we tried this one, and they give you instructions with it. It was like every 30 minutes, basically, you have a new drink. But these drinks were too much and just not like, I don't need to talk. I don't need to start talking craft beers or anything on this podcast. But one of them was just too strong, and we were just like, woof, this is not. We don't do this anymore. We're not in college, and it was a little rough. The movie was weird and fun. And I think I woke up a little hungover today. That hasn't happened in a long time.
So did you guys, were you watching this at your home, or did you actually go someplace to do this?
So what they do is a curbside pickup for the drinks, and then you rent the movie digitally and watch it at home.
And so that's quite cool. Sort of like, so I was going to ask, like, is there like a card that comes with it, like at this point in time?
It's just a printout.
But is that what it tells you, though? Is like it tells you when to like crack open one of the beers and when to start drinking and that sort of thing?
Yep. Oh, cool. So like the first one was like, it's a fruit-themed thing, and it's at this funeral, and so they're eating fruit or strawberries or something. Open up this strawberry beer, and then the next one was like, this kid's parents died in a restaurant fire, so open up this. The movie has a lot of comedy associated around death. That sounds worse than I meant for it to. But so like the next one, it's him standing in the rubble, and it's like a smoky scene. So crack open this smoky beer, and that beer was horrible because it tasted like burnt bacon. It's just not. Yeah, okay. So Chris is one of those psychos that likes that stuff. But
I also have really tart beer, so that Chris tart sounds good.
I do love a tart beer.
Yeah, try that
actually.
one.
They're good.
I forget who that's by, but they do a lot of like crazy themed ones. I remember that they have one called something that reminded me of Panzer Dragoon Saga, so that's why I tried it. Yeah, I don't remember. Cool. My brain's just gone right now. Anyway, though, Rachel and I decided if we ever think about doing something like this again, we will make our own, and it'll just be fruity, good-tasting stuff. Not like, oh, you like your thick coffee chocolate garbage? Here you go. It's not Guinness, but it's about 5 times the viscosity.
I have an idea for a Panzer Dragoon beer.
Okay.
It would be called Panzer Dragoon Lager. Come on, doesn't it?
Damn it to hell.
Good. I like it.
You assholes. I'm leaving.
Yeah. All right, I found the press tart one. It's by Rheingeist. Rheingeist does a lot of themed stuff. Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, Chris's joke has melted my brain now, apparently. Yeah, we did that, and I mean, it was okay. I mean, each of us had 4 we're supposed to get through, and there's 3 beers left in the fridge, so that tells you something about how we made it through. We didn't. Anyway, but that was cool, and we also, like got popcorn from the theater and some candy and stuff, so it was neat to do that. And we hit up the local ramen restaurant as well and got some of that to go. Did a dumb, local, not dumb, but a post about local support and whatever, because these are hard times.
That's cool.
Other than that, though, grabbed a couple some music came in. I think if you're in the Discord, you know that between me, Corey, and Chris and Brett, also New Retro Wave is pretty much what we listen to. Oh, look at that guy. For audio listeners, Chris has his new pickup. It's Max the dog. And
cute little dog. And Scotty has a cool CD.
Yeah, he's a fuzzy, scruffy. He looks like an old man. No, this is Wolf Club. The CD's called Runaways, but the album art is really neat.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it's very...
And every other,
It could be,
synthwave band.
But Runaways, they have a female singer. It's really good driving music, but grabbed that. That came in the mail, Wolf Club. And then, speaking of the Midnight, it already showed up, but I didn't show it off yet, so I did get their new album, Monsters.
I like their new album a lot. I think it's
look at that pizza box. And I think one of these things... Oh, you can kind of see the PlayStation up there, too.
Yeah.
Not sure how well the video is picking that up. But the... Each of the vinyls is purple. I did an unboxing of this. I'm not sure how well it'll come through on the camera, but it's good. But I still like their last album, Kids, a lot better. I think because that one felt like more of a conceptual album than this one does. They're still really solid. The Midnight is a great retro, new wave retro.
I'm going to start listening to this stuff. I like the artwork at least. So.
It's also easy listening too. It's
a lot of this is work.
Background. It's just nice.
Yeah, a lot of it is like what I listen to when I'm working, background music. So Wolf Club and The Midnight. One that everybody always talks about is Time Cop 1983. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they're okay. But September 87, the list could go on. That's what I did, though. Not much has happened. Nice. I just wanted to show off some of my fancy music and stuff.
Nice. Chris, what have you been up to?
Let me put Max on his bed real quick.
Okay.
Daddy.
Okay, he's over there. So, man, this is a crazy week. I had to go on Friday. I had to go to New York City for my last VA appointment for my retirement and transition from the military into, I guess, dad home life is what I'm doing now. And so this is the first time I realized that maybe when I got back home, this is the first time that since COVID and everything else that I've gone into a major city.
Ooh, yeah.
I haven't really gone anywhere. I mean, the last place we did go is when the boys and I went on that road trip to go get the MVS, which was a couple months back now. But even then, we weren't really going through any major cities, and even if we weren't stopping in any of them. So it was a little weird going up to New York City. It's just there were people around. I've seen people post photos of Times Square, and it's just no one's there.
Oh wow!
So, but it wasn't that way. It wasn't like that. There were people walking around. It felt like New York City and everything, but there were certainly less people there, which is kind of good. Because there's always just too many people in the city. But the appointment went fine and everything. It was just really weird just being there and amidst everything that's kind of going on. If I had my choice, I wouldn't have gone all the way up there. But with the whole coronavirus stuff going on, for a while, the VA just completely canceled all the appointments. And so I was just sitting around waiting for them to reschedule me with another one. And it just popped up. And they're like, well, this is the only appointment we have, and we can send you anywhere within 80 miles of your house that you have to go to. And So I was like, whatever. So I just hopped on the train, took it up there. But I will say, I did make a miscalculation, which sucked. And I realized this on the train. What I should have done is I should have just driven my car all the way there to the appointment and just parked somewhere. But what I thought, I was like, okay, I'll just take the train in and then take an Uber from like Penn Station because it was going to Queens. And I will admit, I'm not too familiar with all the different like boroughs and everything outside of Manhattan. That's the one I typically go to. I don't really go to much of the different areas. And so I decided, it's like, okay, let's go from Times Square to Queens, where my appointment was, and I put it in Uber, and it was like $56. I was like,
Whoa.
holy crap. Oh, man. So, yeah, I had to do that there and back. And I was kind of worried that it's like, can I even find an Uber that's going to take me all the way there? Like, I'd assume that they're trying to do like small little trips and stuff, but it wasn't that bad. It was like a 35-minute drive. So yeah, it would cost well over $100 to go from Manhattan to Queens and back, which really sucked. So that was a good lesson to learn, I guess. But anyway, that was fun. I'm finally happy that I'm done with all of my VA appointments now. So basically what ends up happening is when you get out of the military, and Scotty, your brother will go through this when, he eventually...
he's ready.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. But when he'll have to go through the same thing. Basically what happens is they look over your medical records, and any injury or illness or anything that happened to you while you were serving, they will have a doctor look at that and determine that if like it was caused or exacerbated by your military service. And if so, you get a military like claims compensation basically for the rest of your life. Dependent on the rating and everything. So that's kind of the process I'm going through right now. This is my last appointment. And so I'm very thankful that I'm done with all those things. So I now just sit back and wait until the VA gathers all the information and gives me a rating. And we'll see what that's going to be. So obviously the higher the rating means that I guess you get more compensation and more different benefits and things that are afforded to you. So we'll see on that.
So did you get Jamie to shoot you in the leg so that you go, I got this wound from my wife who's also serving in the military?
My mom said that she would do that to me to keep me from deploying to Iraq. This was like right when Iraq like kicked off back in like 2003 or whatever, 2002, around that time.
And you're like, that's not how it works, Mom. I will still be there for some reason. They'll find a reason.
Yeah.
She was adamant. Even I did end up having to deploy to Iraq in 2005. But she, even all the way up until then, she's like, just let me know if you want. I will break your leg for you. I'll hit you with a wrench or a tire iron. I'm like, no, Mom, I'm just going to deploy.
And then the military's just like, Iraq's wheelchair accessible now. You're coming along anyway.
The whole country.
We got great doctors there. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I've been watching a lot more horror movies because, as you guys know, and I think I've
that's new and different
times now, right? For my other podcast, The Bloodsucking Geeks, we recently watched Halloween Resurrection, and we did a podcast on that. Which, Scotty, you should be happy that we're no longer doing the sideshow ones because this is a movie that you would have absolutely hated. I don't know if you've seen it before.
Oh, why? Is that that it's not the one Rob Zombie did, is it?
No. This is the one with Busta Rhymes in it, and
wow.
Okay.
Is it Tyra Banks? Maybe I can't remember who the other his kind of co-star is.
There's no way to find out.
Well, so there's a rapper and a model.
Yeah, there's
okay.
no way. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it in the very beginning for maybe 5 minutes in the movie, and then this is the one where she's killed off by Michael. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it's only like a 20-year-old movie, but it's just bad. It's really, really bad. And so that was a lot of fun actually reviewing that. So one of the things we try to do is we want to tackle a lot of the main and the classic horror series like Halloween, Candyman, Nightmare on Elm Street and all that. But instead of doing the ones that everyone always does, we're trying to look at ones that don't get a lot of attention. So that's why we chose Resurrection. And we're actually, I think the next one we're going to do is Candyman 3, which I've never even seen before. I didn't even know how many Candyman movies there were. But they are coming out with a new one, which Jordan Peele is directing. I don't know if you guys heard of
he's good.
Yep.
And
it's interesting that he went from 2 originals to a remake, unless somebody's like, all right, let's see how you do this. I don't know if that's... I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how Hollywood works.
Who knows? But outside of that, I've also been getting into watching a lot of Hammer horror movies. Graham, I'm sure you've probably seen many of the Hammer films.
I to be honest, I haven't seen that many, but they're obviously they were massive because they were a UK studio and back in like the 60s or 70s whenever they existed. Yeah,
60s, 70s, and even into the 80s. And they're actually starting to reboot.
That Hammer is like the UK equivalent of Trauma, maybe.
Kind of.
I think it's definitely.
To get like some people, I only just for people that have no idea what Hammer is or whatever.
So, because Trauma to me has always been more of a budget, slightly cheesy kind of thing, whereas even the Hammer today is cheesy and kind of looks like budget. Back in the day when it was originally created, some of the movies were like the top movies, like they had like some Dracula movies and stuff like that, which were at the time pretty damn good. But yeah, like today's standards, it probably just feels a bit cheesy and a bit cheap.
Yeah, because they definitely took themselves serious, whereas Trauma never really. It was almost a parody of horror movies in some ways, especially with like the Toxic Avenger and things like that. Yeah. Whereas I think with what Hammer was trying to do is they were trying to take a lot of the Universal classic horror characters and put a spin on them enough to where they're not going to get sued for one, but also try to do something different with the characters. A lot of them are period pieces as well. So even when they were made like in the 60s and 70s, very few of them are set in present day. Most of them are set like in the 1800s and, before. And they're notable too for a lot of them starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee as either Frankenstein. Obviously, Christopher Lee was Dracula for many years. And Peter Cushing is amazing. The last one that I watched is Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, which I'll talk about later in the show. But the one thing I want to talk about real quick, or just show off, is I got a new set called Hammer Horror Classics. This is an 8-film Blu-ray set. I previously bought one from Scream Factory. It was Volume 1 of Horror Classics, which this is a really awesome set. The quality is just really, really well done. This has a lot of good movies in it. But this one has a few that I'm actually looking forward to. This is the new one I'm referring to. Brides of Dracula, The Curse of the Werewolf, Night Creatures, The Phantom of the Opera, Paranoiac, The Kiss of the Vampire, Nightmare, and The Evil of Frankenstein. Wow. I've heard some good things about Brides of Dracula, so I'm kind of excited about that. For listeners, the case of that, it's a Blu-ray, but it's red, so I really thought you bought an HD DVD collection for a second. Oh, that would have been awesome.
Wow.
I still wish that HD DVD won the format.
Yeah, I have one. Is that a surprise to anybody?
I also have one as well, and everything I read is actually the video quality is meant to be better on HD DVD or something.
It is actually better, but porn wins again.
Was it could it hold more data, or was it the Blu-ray that held more data?
I think the
Blu-ray can hold more, but I think the HD had better output.
Yeah, the video and audio or something was better in HD DVD. The difference wasn't that big. Like, it wasn't like Blu-ray doubled the amount. It was still quite comparable, just a little bit more, but...
It was such a weird time, though. I remember going to the store, and depending on what studio aligned with which company, you would see, like, Universal movies were, I think a lot of those were HD DVD. Because the King Kong came out on that. Yep. And then you'd have all the Sony, obviously, the Sony pictures were all Blu-ray. So you couldn't buy, that was the weird part. You couldn't go to the store just like, okay, I know that I can get an HD DVD copy of Resident Evil, because you couldn't. It was only going to be, Blu-ray, and it was a very weird time. You don't see those very often.
I got my HD DVD and like 20 movies from a dude. I convinced him my college buddies and I would really dig it, so it was like $40 for a dozen of those in an HD DVD.
I wonder what the what the market is for HD DVD movies these days.
Oh, you cannot sell that add-on for like more than $5. Nobody wants.
I mean, just
those.
the actual copies themselves. Like,
I don't know.
Are those?
My logic was like I would get that and use it for movies, so that I wouldn't kill my 360 lens and drive sooner than I would playing games and movies all throughout. It's so stupid.
You can tell that you've owned many Dreamcasts in your day.
Yeah, that's where my logic
Worrying
came
about
from,
the
I guess.
laser.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
Yeah, that's all
sorry,
I
I
got up to.
interrupted your
Kind of
stuff.
boring stuff, but I'm actually really excited because I love Hammer. I've never delved into it as much as I have a lot of the American horror stuff of the 80s and 90s that I grew up on, and so I'm loving it. And it was funny because Jamie loves period films, and so this kind of is a way that I could get her to watch it because a lot of them are set in around the late 1800s of like London and things like that. So she likes the setting, and it's just the story within it, and she ends up watching it with me. So
it's just like Pride and Prejudice, but with vampires and zombies and
zombies. I bought that book actually.
I thought you were going to recommend that book and movie.
I just very quickly on the Hammer horror thing, because I just quickly Googled it. I didn't realize this. They actually started in like the 30s, Hammer Productions, and they don't just do horror movies. They actually did a whole range of them, but they did the horror movies, which were classified as Hammer horror. But yeah, they've been going since the 30s, and also didn't realize this. You mentioned there was a revival. One of the movies in their revival was The Woman in Black, which starred Daniel Radcliffe and stuff. I didn't realize that was a Hammer movie, but that production studio was involved. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what age rating would be in America, but over here it was a 12, which is very low for a horror movie, so I thought it wasn't going to be that good. It was one of the scariest horror movies I've seen in the cinema. Like, I've seen quite a few in the cinema, I'm like, these are fine, but I'm not scared. And that one I was actually like, I'm actually quite tense right now. This is it's like quite creepy.
I think a lot of it was all suspense. I don't really recall there being much violence or language or any sex scenes or anything like that. There was some scary imagery, and so I think it probably got a PG-13 rating over here. But I did enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
I want to go. I realized I didn't mention how the things I picked up look at all, but Graham said how cool the covers are. But the Runaways CD that I have is basically straight out of Outrun, and the Midnight vinyl that I have is like a kid's 90s bedroom. So I just wanted to go back to that because I realized for our listeners and not our viewers, they have no idea what they look like, or just look them up.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, when you held up the one you just mentioned was a bit like Outrun. It reminded me of Vice City, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, because that kind of 80s kind of Miami kind of vibe sort of type of thing. But yeah, kind of looks like Outrun as well. So yeah,
and unironic, fittingly enough, it's very good driving music.
I was going to say that would be a cool mod if you replace a lot of the Vice City music with all of like music from like retro synthwaves type stuff, and really fit in that whole vibe.
That would be
Miami
cool.
In the 80s.
The thing is, on the Xbox and PC version, you can have your own soundtracks for Vice City. I don't know if you knew that.
I remember when games did that.
Yeah, like on the Xbox, you can load a load of music songs onto your hard drive. Same with PC, you could just change the playlist, and you can actually just have it set to your own playlist, which is great. So yeah, that would be cool though. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea.
What about you, Graham? What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? So not a huge amount of things, I guess. A couple of quick updates though. Last week I showed you my Bluetooth Dreamcast controller and how it works on my Dreamcast, like a bit of a dodgy live demonstration which half works, but yeah, it's still going strong. But I mentioned that last week it's meant to come with a dongle. I said the word dongle like 20 times. It's meant to come with a dongle, which I paid for. And that when you got the dongle, you can then plug it into any Dreamcast, and that Dreamcast will then be Bluetooth, basically. Whereas my Dreamcast actually had it modded. I bought the daughter board, which was modded to make it so it's Bluetooth kind of a standard, so I don't need dongles. But yeah, so I basically emailed the guy and said, hey, it's arrived, it worked, it's great, but I don't have my dongle. And it seems like there was a miscommunication, because I was questioning about if I could use this, or would I need the dongle, or I was asking questions about the dongle and the daughter board, like how that works. And eventually, because I thought he might make a controller just for the daughter board, and then I'd have to get another controller to work with the dongle, but that's not what the case is. But he got confused and thought I just didn't want the dongle. He's from Greece, so he seems to speak good English in his emails and stuff, but I don't know if maybe there's mistranslation there or misunderstanding. Anyway, he apologised. He's going to send me the dongle, so I'll give you a dongle update when that happens. And I have a different Dreamcast which is not modded to try the dongle out on. So yeah, dongle.
Good old dongle disconnect.
Oh yeah. And a quick thing, a pickup, not a gaming pickup, but a TV show pickup. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Have you guys seen this show at all? I know it's been years. It came out years and years ago, but
short answer is yes, but it was a time before buying everything in complete versions like that, so I never actually finished the show. But I did. I've seen that's out. I've seen that Legend of Korra is out everywhere as well.
Yeah. So it's been on Netflix in the UK for a while now, like over a year, because I watched it all last year. And Netflix, I believe Netflix has the rights to that. Netflix is doing a live action version of it, which I've seen a few screenshots of.
The M. Night Shyamalan thing did so well.
Well, they seem to be wanting to repair that. They're not doing a movie; they're doing a series like the cartoon was. I'm looking forward to it. They showed a couple of early screenshots, like production shots, and it looks good from what I saw. But basically, so I watched it. I've seen this like 3 times now. Saw it on Netflix and stuff and I saw it last year, and Netflix just decided to rewatch it, and I love it. And at work, this girl I work with, she was just talking about it to me the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love that show!" And we just kept talking about it all week to the point that I was like, I'm worried that randomly Netflix is going to get rid of it one day. I actually just want this show to keep, because it's one of those shows I will happily go back to once every couple of years and just watch from start to finish. It's probably one of my all-time favorite sort of cartoon series, because I like the fact they had a proper ending to it. They had a proper storyline mapped out, and the way the characters evolve from the first episode to the very last, like you actually see them age slightly as well throughout the show. I don't know if you knew that. Like, if you go back to watching the first episode from the last one, it's like, oh, he's actually Aang's really, really young, and then like by the last one, he's actually a bit more of a teenager. He's grown by a couple of years at least. But anyway, I just love the show. I love the whole storyline. I love the concept. I love the world, and yeah, I could have got it on Blu-ray, but this was like half the price. And also, I've got one Blu-ray player, which is my Xbox, and I don't really buy many Blu-rays. I feel like this isn't something that needs the high quality stuff. It's a cartoon. It looks good on DVD, you know.
You're future-proofing your Dreamcast to outlast everything, but you don't buy Blu-rays.
I still think the Blu-rays have been around for years, yes, but I feel like eventually everything's going to be digital anyway. Like, I don't know. And I've got
That's the point, though, because I mean, you're just talking about like you're afraid that Netflix is going to take them off, and I think we had a whole conversation about it last week or the podcast before, about how these companies are taking these movies away, and you can never know what app or channel you have to go to stream something.
So that's
we're
why
in the age of daisy chaining apps. It's great.
But that's why I got on DVD, partly because every Blu-ray player in the world plays DVD, and I have more standard DVD players around than I do Blu-ray. So I'm like,
I understand.
Even if everything becomes Blu-ray in the future, this will still work. So it's kind of so for me, I was just like,
Isabel just started randomly watching that show this past week, and so it's funny that you just mentioned that, because he's really in deep on Avatar right now, so it's pretty cool.
Scotty, you got to get on it. You got to finish that show. You got to start it from the beginning.
I know. Well, 2 points real quick. One, everyone mark this day on your calendar when Graham mentioned that he enjoys something that's popular. And 2, that's. I feel like Avatar.
One, Graham.
Yeah, I feel like Avatar. I feel that same way about Futurama, because I didn't realize how much I watched that show until it just disappeared from Netflix. I know it's all on Hulu, but I really should just own that show, because that's something I could. Aside from a couple of arcs, you can put it in and watch any episode, and you don't have to know like the characters' backstories or anything like that. It's still enjoyable.
I like it. And it was like for you. Maybe it's one of those shows, and I think everyone probably has a few of them where you just like to have it on, maybe in the background while you do stuff. It's just comforting. It's just something you love. you just like to have it on in the background. For me, a lot of times it's probably like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, wow.
Are movies I love just to watch. And Jamie and I will just put it on, even when we want to just have a quiet time on the couch and just maybe you just fall asleep. It's just a fun movie. It's comforting. We love it. And so I think Futurama is a good show like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love Futurama.
Yeah, that came out in the right time when dumb humor flooded the airwaves, and I was all for dumb humor, like Adult Swim and stuff. But Futurama had, I could start quoting it right now, but I won't. But yeah, it's
Speaking of
good stuff.
dumb humor, and we'll jump into our first break after this. But did you guys see that Beavis and Butthead's making a comeback too?
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it's coming
Good
on
grief.
Comedy
Think
Central.
so?
They're rebooting it.
Of course it is.
What's funny because they did a teaser, and the one I saw, they were basically making fun of MTV. How no one watches it anymore.
I didn't even know MTV existed still.
It's all I think it's just pretty much my like 13 and pregnant now. They had to get something more crazy.
I thought you were going to say it's pretty much my show, Jersey Shore.
Let's not talk about that. I hate those people. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Like I love Beavis and Butthead. I'm fine with jumping back into that. It was insanely popular when we were in high school, in middle school. Like it was just everyone talked about Beavis and Butthead all the time, and I would love to see them try it again and see if it sticks. See if that style of humor and everything is still relevant today, and see like how long they go with their episodes before they enrage whole sections of the internet. Because I don't think it's going to be very long.
I was gonna say, if anything, it'll remind people that music videos do still exist.
Wow, yeah.
I'm interested to see if they'll even have that portion in the show anymore.
Right. Yeah,
I don't
who
think
knows?
they will, but
Messed up rights and everything
So
right now.
I never really watched the show that much, but I saw a few episodes. I remember playing the video game on PC, and the movie when that came out, that was massive. I remember the movie being really good back in the day.
Why you
America.
don't see the show streaming anywhere, because the rights for the little things that they would have to just cut those parts out, which I think most people would be fine with. But just basically Beavis and Butthead talking shit about all these bands. It's pretty funny. It's like, these guys suck.
I did not even realize there was a PC game, but it doesn't look like that's the same as the Genesis one. It's called Beavis and Butthead in Virtual Stupidity.
I guarantee you Scotty's going to start streaming Beavis and Butthead games in the next couple of weeks.
No, I don't.
I bet you will. I bet you will.
I could never really get in. I appreciate Beavis and Butthead, but I could never. If I was watching an episode, I would just like zone out and forget that I was even watching it. Like it's very easy to lose my train of thought.
It's like brain scan, and you wake up like 2 days later, like what happened?
Did you see that brain scan shirt? Never mind. We're going off on tangents.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think it's time for a break.
Mm-hmm.
And after this message, we will be right back. I want to let you guys know that Megavisions has a Patreon at www.patreon.com/Megavisions. And when you're there, you can choose to get either a physical or digital issue of the magazine. We ship worldwide, so you can get one wherever you live. And if you subscribe to the physical edition, you automatically receive the digital issue as well. And we only charge your account when we're actually ready to ship an issue. So you don't have to worry about getting random charges that you don't understand why they're coming your way. We are very clear, and we let everyone know like the weeks leading up to when we're actually going to charge everyone's account. So anyway, please go check it out. Like I said, it's www.patreon.com/Megavisions.
Welcome back, and we are now moving on to Scotty Moe's Mail Sack of Wonder.
We've got it. Let's open this, unlatch these things, and see what we've got inside. All right, that's right. First up is Ichabod Brain in the Discord, Pod Quest. This was last week's also we want to reference because when we talked about the Xbox Showcase, he asked, have you seen Balan Wonderland? It aesthetically looks like Nights into Dreams. It was created by the guy that made Nights and the original artist of Sonic, Yuji Naga, and Naoto Oshima. If you look at timestamp 1 minute 11 seconds, it looks like an Ice Sonic costume. How stoked is Scotty for this? So we kind of addressed how stoked I am. I'm trying to keep my excitement in check. I would say that you're reaching a little bit for that Ice Sonic costume, but I can see how he's got like the backwards fins, quills things, and he's running, and yep, that's my thoughts.
But yeah, we had discussed it last week. It does look aesthetically like Nights into Dreams. The costumes, yeah, to be honest, I actually missed that Ice Sonic costume thing, but
it's literally like not even a full second.
Right?
That
Okay.
in that video, I had to pause it a bunch to find it, but.
But yeah, I think we discussed it enough last week. So if you're interested to know our thoughts, go back to last episode 44. It's great.
Yes, yes.
So what other
And
stuff
then,
do you have in your mail sack?
Yeah, Mr. Haru asks, what is a piece of gaming merchandise you would not hesitate to pre-order on day one? So,
Something that doesn't exist.
I guess so. Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Saga remake or like re-release or something for modern consoles.
Well, he's
Panzer
not. I
Dragoon
don't think
Laga.
he's not talking. God damn it, he's not talking about a game. He's saying merchandise.
Okay,
So
any-
what if
any
what if there was
anything
like a
Panzer-
statue?
A Panzer Dragoon Saga statue, clock, or glove. I don't know. Like if they made oven mitts that were Panzer Dragoon Saga themed, I'd probably go, yeah.
I fucking knew it. I knew he was grabbing it. Go ahead, Chris.
He's back. I want Yonoid 2, bitches. if they came out with a brand new Yonoid plushie or anything, bobblehead, whatever, it doesn't matter, man. I'm there with this dude on day one. Give me some more Yonoid.
Yo, Noid 2. Noid harder.
Man. Oh, actually, I'd love a Panzer Dragoon Saga plushie, like Azel and Edge and the dragons. Amazing. I'd totally have that.
How did you say her name?
Azel.
Azel?
I say Azel because why not?
You sound like you're talking about hazelnuts.
Well,
Maybe
yes, without an
That's
H.
interesting.
Without an H, sir.
Huh.
Azel.
Oh,
Azel.
yeah. Right.
Okay, wait, how did you say
Don't
it?
say the B word weird.
I just say Azel,
Azel.
like kind of like gazelle.
Like
Yeah.
Adele, but with a Z instead of a D.
Okay, well, yeah, we could go that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Now all I can do is picture Azel walking up to me and saying hello.
While on,
Anyway,
on the back of a dragon.
Anyway.
Oh, merchandise. You said Yonoid. You said Panzer Dragoon Saga. Yeah, I guess because I've got it on my mind. Knights.
Ooh, yeah.
What
I
do you
am
want,
kind
though?
of
Like,
upset
what would
I
you
missed
want?
out
Like,
on
what's
first.
the best Knights merchandise you could think of that you would want?
There was a bunch of in Christmas Nights, that demo, they have like image galleries of all kinds of merchandise and stuff, and it's just crazy. And this was before you could just import whatever. Like importing was kind of starting for our era or whatever. So that kind of blew my mind. Like, how do I get where are those UFO machines? How do I get that mouse pad or whatever? I don't know. I'm still bummed I missed the first 4 figures Knights thing. So the only way I can get that statue now is through secondhand assholes. I don't know. I guess a statue would be fine because it's like I don't want a shirt. I have enough shirts of crap. Yeah, like a statue, maybe even an amiibo-sized statue, or like, oh, maybe a controller. Maybe I know the 3D controller essentially was the Knights controller, but if they did like some sort of purple scheme, or even like a Knights controller and a Riella controller or something.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'd say a custom designed
Why
controller.
didn't they do that? They could have had a really cool image artwork on those. Bloody hell, Sega.
I'm sure we could find them on
Perfect.
Etsy or something.
Yeah,
I'm
they've
gonna
got-
ask, real quick. Is there any piece of like pre-order merchandise that you missed out on in the past that you would like love to go back and be able to go get?
Yep, Sonic Generations, the UK release.
Oh, really? What's so good about that?
What?
Frickin' insane statue set
Oh, okay.
that was
missed
not
it.
available in the US.
I have a confession to make. I'm not a massive fan of Sonic Generations, so I did not care. Although I have the game next to
Graham's
it.
opinion is wrong.
Like, I've got the game next
I'll
to
find
me.
it real quick.
There you go. But
It was
right next to my
it was
Sonic
massive.
06.
That's you. No,
Uh-oh.
They're just next to each other on the shelf, so I
Being
grabbed both at the same
demonetized now that
time.
we mentioned Sonic 06.
there you go. If you guys want to look at that real quick, because it came with a. Oh, that's a horrible picture. Sorry. Internet, do whatever you want to. It had. I almost got it on Amazon and crap, but it had a statue of modern and classic Sonic in a ring, and then it also had an actual ring and a soundtrack and a cool looking presentation liner for the soundtrack. Yeah, I wanted that real bad.
Okay.
What about you, Graham?
And
Anything
it has,
that you
it
can
has
think
them
of?
looking at each other like they're about to kiss. Sorry, go ahead.
It does actually look like they're about to kiss. Yeah, it's quite funny.
That's what the ring's for. It's a wedding ring.
Wow.
It's a engagement ring.
See, this is the thing. I don't normally get collector's editions of stuff, really. Like, I don't really care about statues that much. I do have Sonic Mania's collector's thing. With
Me
the sort
neither. Me neither.
Jesus.
like, if it's like a
Me
limited,
neither.
if it's like a limited edition, I guess I like. For example,
Wait
I
a
have a
minute.
two.
Graham, you love Die Hard, don't you?
I do. Who doesn't?
Do you see that?
Oh yeah.
Do you see the
Ooh.
freaking Nakatomi Plaza that my
That's
buddy
pretty
AJ
cool,
got
actually.
me? My cable's too short. My cable's
I can see
too
it. I can
short,
see it. I
I'm
can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. God damn it. But yeah, like I've got like I do get some sort of collector's editions of some games, but they're normally the ones that just have like an extra DVD. I don't really buy the big statues and stuff. Like
Right.
yeah, or it comes with a free T-shirt. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I don't really go into that sort of stuff. Partly because I have too much crap anyway, and I also don't have the space to store statues really. Also, if it did something, I might be like, oh, that's cool. It does a thing. Like it makes a song or moves or something. I don't know. But yeah.
So did you
yeah.
get the Sonic Mania statue then? Because that does something.
I do have the Sonic Mania statue, so I've got the box of that and stuff. The problem is I don't have it on display. I just have it as actually down next to my computer desk right now.
Incorrect.
What do you mean?
It's in the wrong area. You need to display it loud and proud.
Well, I should do it, I guess. I could put it up behind me, yeah. Like on my weird shelf unit thing there, it's just behind me. Where my avatar currently sits, along with my Mega Drive in it.
Whoa. My perception is now very skewed because I thought that was like 5 feet away from you. It's an arm's length.
Whoa. I do have a very long arm. Tell your friends.
You think it was like a little desk in the background or something?
Yeah, I did, but instead it's like 5 feet high. I don't know.
Oh
The
man.
audio
I'm very
listeners are like,
confused
what
now.
are they talking about?
So, oh yeah, I should probably
Get it on
explain
the
that.
video feed, gents and ladies.
Yeah, I have a wooden thing that I have on top of my TV stand. Where my TV, basically, I have a glass TV stand down here. This is for the audio listeners and I guess the video listeners.
Oh, okay.
My room is kind of a mess. I don't really want to move my camera. I've got a glass TV stand where my TV is sitting on it. I'll just move my mic out of the way. There's my TV. If you can see that.
Okay.
So, and then there's this
So
wooden
you got a
thing
whole
which.
other desk behind your TV on top of it.
So that is actually something I built. I built this wooden thing as a TV stand originally, but I sort of I changed it. I actually rejigged it. And I took it apart and rejigged it so it actually goes over my TV stand, so I can put units on top of it, like games consoles, because I have too many consoles for my TV stand, basically.
So instead of your TV sitting on it, it's sitting on your TV now.
Kind of. It's like it's not touching the TV; it's above the TV, you know. But I have some games consoles under my bed. I also have I have lots of stuff on top and on the TV stand itself, like the glass TV stand. But yeah,
Start stacking in front of your windows, and then
well,
you won't have to
I
worry
did
about
for a
it.
while, and yeah, it just got a bit ridiculous. So there we go. That
Yeah.
How did we get onto that? Anyway, let's move on. Chris, did you mention
Oh,
something?
Chris didn't
that you-
answer his
yeah,
own question though.
Oh yeah,
something you missed and want or whatever.
I wish that I would have got in on more of the Dreamcast like special editions, like the sports edition. I really, really wish I would have bought.
Oh, the console itself.
Yeah,
you
the
mean,
console
console
itself.
variants. Yeah.
Like I really always wanted one, and I've never owned a black Dreamcast. And the price of them are just stupid now. So I never will.
What about?
Yeah, you mentioned that. I do wish that I somehow came across the Code Veronica. This was when iMacs were a thing, and that clear jelly bean color was really cool. So there are a ton of variants, like the Dreamcast controllers. But there's a Code Veronica. There's two Code Veronica consoles. One that's a dark blue, supposed to be Leon's with a Stars logo, and then another one that's red, supposed to be Claire's version variant. There's a whole, I forget the site, but sometimes I just look at the Dreamcast variants and think, like, man, those are cool.
I know they had
like the
tons. They had tons in Japan, didn't they? They had like Hello Kitties and stuff like that.
Hello Kitty pink one with a pink keyboard, and
in the UK we just had a grey one. We had nothing else, not even the black version.
Like the sky.
It's just like the sky, with a little swirl of blue, because just to remind us that the sky sometimes is a bit blue, but we just don't see it.
Just to keep you depressed.
Just a splash of it.
But
nice. Okay. Cool. And then Sarah next, aka Caesar, ends the question sack time with since it just happened, I guess opinions about Sega's president apparently just resigning. And what he's referring to is President Kenji Matsubara abruptly resigned from Sega. Happened on July 30th, first?
Like 3 or 4 days ago.
July, a couple days ago. Yeah. We reported on it. Marcin just tossed up his statement, essentially a link to it. He said that he resigned for personal reasons, and that's really all it says. That could be anything. Corona's happening right now, folks. Who knows?
I think it's mafia related.
Oh, mafia. So like Yakuza, Yakuza related.
There's always been those rumors that Sega's owned by the mafia, and so maybe this is.
I feel like in Japan that means Yakuza mafia relation thing. If that was in like America, it might be like a sex scandal or something like that. I feel like personal reasons. He's cheated on someone and it's about to come out, sort of thing. You know,
right.
Yeah, in England, he's made a cup of tea wrong. I don't know. Just get this guy out of here.
He can't even make tea.
Oh, sorry. This is kind of slightly on a tangent, but on that, there's a video that's gone around from this woman and her daughter in America teaching Americans how to make English tea. And it's basically just upset loads of people in England, because it's like in my office, it was spread around. And everyone's like, what the hell? Because basically she goes, you get a mug, put cold water in it, put it in the microwave, take it out, put milk in it, then add the tea bag. And everyone's like,
she's saying that the English woman is saying that's how you make English tea.
That's an American woman and an American daughter saying how you make English tea. And in England, it's basically just upset the entire nation, basically. It's like, oh my God, this has to be a parody or something.
Let's go to war.
Oh my God. Firstly,
I do recall when you were over here for the marathon that AJ's girlfriend Ashley would introduce you to sweet tea.
Oh yeah, that was actually quite nice. Actually, yeah, that was surprisingly decent. I actually quite like the sweet tea. Thank you, Ashley, because she's obviously listening or watching.
So then, what is? Yeah, what? So how do you guys do it over there?
Because this is a crazy thing about America. You guys don't have kettles in your house. What? Because you ever had to boil water on your stove. But you don't have a kettle. I had to boil water on your stove, man.
All right, well then we got one since you got here. I can go take a picture of it on the stove right now.
Thank you.
Tell me where my kettle is.
So, do you have a kettle that goes on the stove? Wow.
Yeah, and it whistles when it's ready.
Well, okay, you've got a camp. Wow. So, oh my God. So basically, Scotty, that kind of kettle we might have in England, but for going camping with, we normally have electric kettles. You just plug into the wall and just boil water from that. But yours is fine. That's good. That's better than nothing, and it works. It's brilliant. Well done. But yes, you boil your kettle.
Thanks.
You get if you're just making it with a tea bag, you get your mug, pop your tea bag in the mug without any water in, boil your water in the kettle, pour that in, then you add your milk and sugar if you need to. And in the video, the lady just basically poured sugar in straight from the pot, not using a spoon or anything. It's just like heaps of sugar. It's like, oh. But yeah, you need to let the tea bag brew using the boiling water first. Then you add your milk once it's brewed to a certain level, because
how long do you let the tea bag stay in before you add the milk?
That's okay. So that's dependent on the person and sometimes the strength of the tea bag, because some brands are slightly different than others. Personally, I leave it like maybe a minute or so, maybe a couple of minutes at the most, and then I add my milk. I like it quite strong, but also very milky. Like I'm weird. I like the strong taste, but the nice milky texture.
I think you put a lot of milk in your tea. Like I was surprised by how much milk that you put in it.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily typical. It depends on the person.
Of the tea bag, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I know some people only add a dash of milk, but they'll only leave the tea bag in for a tiny little amount. So,
that's
at the
interesting.
End of the show, maybe you could demonstrate how you make the tea. If we have time.
Maybe I'll record it and just do it with my phone because, yeah.
Welcome back to Graham's live stream. This will boil your water or whatever, Graham, but the band that I used to be in, when we started out and were more punctual about our band practices, we would start each one with a cup of tea. Sorry, all that would entail, though, is putting 4 mugs of water in the microwave for a couple of minutes, then bringing them out and plopping the tea bags in.
Oh, okay.
It's not making it taste. It doesn't change the taste of water. Like, so what's
audio listeners, you got to tune in for the video of this to see Graham.
Like, I don't understand why you guys are so upset by that. It's all it is hot water. It's not.
Okay, it needs to be boiling water to have a proper cup of tea. Just to be clear, it actually genuinely there's a scientific thing about it. Boiling water has to be like okay, I have to do it. I do it in centigrades rather than Fahrenheit because I don't know Fahrenheit, but it needs to be about 97 to 100 degrees centigrade, which is boiling. 100 degrees is boiling point in centigrade to actually make the tea brew correctly. And if you add milk too soon, or if you add milk first, it actually deactivates the brewing ability of the tea. So when that lady did it, she put the milk into the hot water before putting the tea bag in, which instantly stops it brewing correctly, which is just insane. Yeah. So you did it a slightly better way, that you had your hot water, then you put the tea bag in, but it needs to actually be boiling water to get a proper cup of tea, which is also sometimes why if English people go to America and they ask for a cup of tea, and you just get like a cup of warm/hot water without a tea bag in, it's like, okay, this is not going to brew correctly. It's fine, but at the same time, it's like, So, yeah, sorry to go on a mini rant. but unlike coffee,
Sega's president resigned.
Exactly. Yes, he did not. See, even in Japan, they need to have a boiling water to make their tea as well. But yeah, so because coffee can just be hot, but tea needs to be boiling. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway. Let's zip that mailbag.
We're locking up the mail sack.
Click it.
And that moves on to the news, our top news of the week. Now, we have actually been looking at the feedback from like people, listeners and stuff, and we realise that sometimes some of the sections are taking a little bit longer than perhaps we'd like. So we're actually going to cut some things down. So for our news and our picks of the week, we're actually going to do 1 each rather than 2 each. So Let's kick it off. Let's go with Chris to begin to kick it off this week.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to go?
Fine.
Or okay, good.
So I'm pretty excited about this bit of news. Pikachu director Wilhelm, Beyond Good and Evil, a movie coming to Netflix. And did you guys ever play Beyond Good and Evil, the first one?
Yeah. I played it way too late, but it was a pre-order bonus with Ray, and I played a good bit of it on Xbox Live Arcade. I really enjoyed it. It's a very chill. It's everyone says it. It's Metal Gear Solid meets Pokemon Snap.
Oh wow, never thought of it that way.
Never heard of it that way.
I mean, you have a camera. You're looking around in a camera, and it's stealth mode. You got to take them pictures.
I totally don't remember that.
And it's a lot of adventure stuff too.
I own the game and have finished it, start to finish. I do not remember there being a camera bit in it. Am I just completely forgetting the game? I remember bits of it, but I can't remember that at all. Mm-hmm. That's weird.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's the majority of the game because I don't remember and I did not finish it, but I probably never will because it's on my 360 that I never boot up. But like the save for it is on my 360. So
right. Yeah, but I just remember being a really good. Following. a good adventure game, kind of like going around, sort of kind of almost solving mysteries, as it were, in this little city type place. And were the enemies pigs or something? In my head, they were pigs.
Yeah, no, her best
your buddy.
Yeah.
And they basically
like fix stuff.
Yeah.
Like a tinkerer. But yeah, so I guess let me see here. It's going to be a mix of live action and animation, so that's going to be interesting. So if like some of the I wonder if like the human characters will all be like live actors, and a lot of like the more animal characters will be maybe animated. I think that would probably make sense if you want to do a mix. And I mean, this is interesting because we heard about the sequel, Beyond Good and Evil 2, that Ubisoft has apparently had in development forever. And so it seems like I was not expecting that we'd hear, a Beyond Good and Evil animated series coming. So I guess this means that the series is still alive, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had that crazy trailer at E3 one year for the second game that told us nothing about the game.
That's
like
back
it was so all over the place.
Was that back in 2018? That was a good couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
Think so.
Yeah.
This is cool. And what's her name is totally on the cover. I had to look it up to remind myself holding a camera. So what game did you play, Graham?
Neato. Oh, what news has tickled your taste buds this week?
Yeah, so pretty cool stuff going on in the skateboarding world. Everybody knows by now that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake is coming out, but they just announced that over 3 dozen new music tracks have been added to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some of these artists. It's not that. It's not like brand new songs, and it's not like brand new artists, but it's artists that either were not in Tony Hawk 1 or 2, or have not been in a Tony Hawk game. For instance, I'll rattle off a couple here: Billy Talent, Destroy Boys, Less Than Jake, Machine Gun Kelly, MXPX, which surprises me that MXPX has not been in a Tony Hawk game. I'm not sure. Real Big Fish for some reason. That's pretty awesome, though. The Ataris, it really surprises me they've not been in a game yet. Zebrahead has a different song in it. They had, because Tony Hawk 3 was what got me into Zebrahead, actually. There's a lot. They also confirmed that all but 5 tracks from each Tony Hawk 1 and 2 are returning.
Oh, good.
So that's a good chunk. So like there's over 30 new songs combined with most of 1 and 2 soundtracks, which is really, really neat. And it reminded me that, ska is back, first of all, but also it reminded me how I got into certain genres through anime in video games, because no joke, I learned of the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones from the website dbzwarriors.cjb.net that made anime music videos. This was back when your browser wouldn't save the address, so you had to remember it when you type it in. So back in our day, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't care that much.
Bookmark it.
But I remember that like that introduced me to it, and then Rascal King was in the game Rogue Trip, the car combat game Rogue Trip 2020 whatever. And that leading, and it circles back to Tony Hawk because Goldfinger's song Superman, which as the Foreman, their lead singer, is that his name? Doesn't matter. He said that basically ignited their career as a band. Was Tony Hawk 1. So it's pretty cool to see a lot. And there, we can link the source for this, but there's a 15-minute video of a couple of new artists to the game. So I'm already going to check out now. One of them was called Death something or something Death, and I lost it now.
There's DZ Death Rays?
No. Oh, Rough Francis, Death Wire was the name of the song. They were pretty cool, kind of screamy punk or angry punk, and it's neat to see a lot more hip hop artists in this, because hip hop. Not people realize it, but like hip hop is just as synonymous with skating as punk is, so it's cool to see more of that genre in here. I'm just super excited for this game, and if they do like any sort of physical release of this album, I will definitely grab it. So
that's cool.
What do you guys think about that? Chris groaned pretty hard when I said Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah. I'm not a big music guy, so this does nothing for me, really. I remember listening to a lot of these bands growing up, but I'm not, and I'm also not into skateboarding games, so I am like completely not the audience for this game. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, kind of same here. I was actually a rollerblader.
God damn it, people!
Back when I was a kid, I was a rollerblader and kind of hung out with skateboarders and stuff as well. I could not skateboard.
Aggressive inline.
Oh yeah, so I did that. I was a blader, and I had friends who were skateboarders, so I enjoyed the real thing. And when Tony Hawk's came out, they all loved it and jumped on it. And I think I got number 1 or 2. I think I got 1 on my PlayStation and 2 on my Dreamcast, and I suck at them. I just don't actually find them that fun either, so they're not really for me. So I never really played them enough.
Who are you people?
And from this list of musicians who have added to this that you got in our show notes, I recognise maybe 2 or 3 of these bands. I have no idea who most of them are.
God damn it!
But like, yeah, I was really big into like punk rock and stuff growing up. But yeah, I guess I'm out of it. I don't know who these people are. They're not really. But yeah, no, that sounds cool. For fans of the game, I think this is great. This is great news. Not only are the games coming back, they've got even more tracks. So great stuff. And Scotty, I hope you enjoy it when it comes out.
Did you have soap shoes, Graham?
I did not. I did not have those. Well, I do remember them being a thing, and no.
If you're more into inline than skateboarding, have I got something for you? Have you ever heard of the movie Brink?
I have. I've never seen it.
All right, you got to watch it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'll give you my YouTube sign in because I had to buy the stupid thing on there. Oh no, it's on Disney Plus. You have Disney Plus, right?
Yes, I do. Hey.
All right. Your homework for next week is to watch Brink.
I will do so, sir.
Airborne is the better rollerblading movie. I think it's the best rollerblading movie.
Wow, I've never even heard of that.
Oh, okay. Great. It's with Seth Green, Jack Black.
Oh, I recognize those names. So,
and then while we're at it, we're going to watch Gleaming the Cube with Christian Slater.
Heck yeah. I love me some Christian Slater.
I do actually miss that guy.
Anyway, this is all very cool. It is awesome that ska is on it, and it is awesome that there's more hip hop, and there's some good artists that should rightfully be included in these games. So it's pretty neat.
Cool. Awesome. So for my bit of news, it kind of tallies on from last week's stuff where we talked about the Xbox Showcase and Halo Infinite. So a lot of people actually kind of complained about Halo Infinite's visuals. They said the graphics kind of... I think actually while we're watching the live stream, Chris, you mentioned that someone had commented that it kind of looks like a PlayStation 2 game or something like that, or sort of saying the graphics. I think
they were saying that it looked like it was current gen.
I thought okay. So yeah. Anyway,
it looked like it was like a big next gen game. Is what.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the thing. A lot of people said this doesn't look that good. It looks like the graphics aren't very decent. Not what they're expecting for the Xbox Series X. It meant to be the showcase to really show off the game, and like this is like a flagship title for the game for the console. So why did the game not look as good as people were expecting? So the developers 343 Studios, 343 Industries, sorry, they've actually kind of addressed this. So their community manager, I'm not going to get his name right, but it's John Juneschek? That sounds better, yeah. How did you know that? Wow. Anyway.
Because
he's cultured.
Yeah.
You just know the guy. Okay, cool. Awesome. Anyway.
Aside from skateboarding and good music, he's cultured.
John for 343.
Johnny J.
The JJ. I'm calling JJ. Yeah, he's come out and he's said he's addressed why the style actually looks like it is, but also about the visuals and stuff themselves. So he said, look, from my learnings from Halo 4, 5 and Halo Wars 2, along with strong community feedback, we decided to shift back towards the legacy aesthetics that define the original trilogy. With Halo Infinite, we're returning to a more classic art style, which was a key message going back to the very first reveal that garnered enthusiastic and positive responses. This translates to a more vibrant palette cleaner models and objects with less noise, though it doesn't mean less detail. But some people, as you say, some people say still doesn't look that great. And there was talk about there's some pop-in you can see in the video in the distance and stuff, which people weren't really expecting from Xbox Series X. And the lighting felt a bit dull and everything. But so he addressed this saying, in many ways, we're in agreement here. So the studio's actually agreeing with what everyone's saying. We do have work to do to address some of these areas and raise the level of fidelity and overall presentation for the final game. So it sounds like they are actually receptive about this. They're talking about actually doing the graphics a lot better than they were what we saw. And they also mentioned that it was actually an early version of the game, and they had actually been working on it since. Like the video they showed on the presentation was about a month old, so they had been doing a lot of work already on it. So hopefully when it launches, it's going to look a lot better than it did there. I mean, the studios do say this sometimes, like, oh yeah, we're going to address that, but they don't always. Hopefully they are. But yeah, what do you guys think? To be honest, I'm just going to say my piece first. Sorry. I didn't think the graphics were that bad. I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of those games that is on Xbox One and Xbox Series X, so I kind of feel like there will be that crossover period where some games don't look as amazing as they could do. I mean, maybe it could have looked better, but to me, the scope of the area that you could see of the world seemed very impressive to me, and that's what I was focusing on. I thought the detail was decent enough; it didn't bother me at all. And Halo's never really looked that realistic as it were, because it's kind of sci-fi stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to see if they do actually make it better. What do you guys think?
I've never cared how games look. I've never been on board with like, this looks great, I need to own it. And I'm not just saying that to sound cool or like a hipster, but it just doesn't, like, I can see where they're coming from, where it did look a little bit dated. It did. The guy's face that was talking to Master Chief looked a little not as insane as like a Quantum Dream or a Naughty Dog game or something, maybe, but I just don't get why it matters so much. I really don't. I don't like, but I also fell in love with cell shading. So who am I to talk? It's strange to me that we're complaining about graphics that the human eye can barely see at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I saw something else, some news around this time too, that they were saying that it's going to be running at 120 frames per second. Do you see that?
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, that was actually talking about
support that.
Apparently, the multiplayer will be free to play and running. That was actually another bit of news that came out about this.
Oh, there is multiplayer. Okay,
the multiplayer is going to be free to play, and it's going to be running at 120 frames per second. Because from the sounds of it, it's going to be very much like the massive Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone. It's going to be one of those massive epic multiplayer games. Essentially, they're rejigging it to make it this. I haven't actually got full details, but that's what everyone was saying. Sounds like what they're doing. So they want to make it free to play and running at 120 frames per second.
I think that's interesting. Cool. Because you're essentially only buying the campaign then. Like, I'm wondering
apparently
if they're going to be giving people that buy the game like some sort of bonuses in the multiplayer, because I mean, I don't know.
It bothers me as a consumer that they have to come out and say that the multiplayer will be free to play. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for putting a basic part in the game for me to enjoy. I'm glad you were nice enough to do that. Well, no, I'm going to go on a tangent.
So I think, just to clarify on that, I think if you buy Halo Infinite, you have the multiplayer there as standard, but I think they're also releasing the multiplayer as like a Fortnite style separate multiplayer for other people to play. That's the impression I'm getting. So it's going to be a big open epic battle sort of game, but it's also going to have the free to play version.
A ton of microtransactions. That's what
possibly. You know, it could be microtransactions. I don't know.
It's interesting that they're going that route. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, they're going to have those, like...
Battle passes?
What are they, like in Fortnite, they have like a new season or whatever. It's like battle passes. I think it's going to go that route.
I hope it doesn't go that way in a way, but I can understand why that seems to be a big thing for these multiplayer games these days, and it seems to work. I've got Call of Duty Warzone, and I don't spend a penny on it, but obviously some people do. So it gives you that option. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping they do keep some of the old style death matches in there, like, you know, the standard ones, but it would be interesting to see.
Slayer.
Usually the way I like to try to do it, if I'm going to play a free-to-play game and I really like it, I definitely want to give, some money to the developers for, making the game, but I'll typically try to not go past what I would typically spend on that as a video game. So if it's like 50, 60 bucks over the lifetime of me playing it, I'd be fine with spending, $60 on, Halo Infinite or whatever. But I'm not going to go beyond that and, be buying like every single, season pass or whatever. So it's like $15 like every month or two, whatever Fortnite does. It's insane. And you have these kids that are that they want to buy every single one of those because they get a couple new skins, and that's somewhat how important these days.
I think it's interesting that they're trying it with Halo because don't want to assume too much, but if there's any game that they can make a financial risk on it, it's probably Halo. I'm not sure how 5 did financially or whatever, but and I keep thinking of a game that's going free to play is Rocket League. That's kind of an exception, but this is a weird exception too because I loved the prequel to it. Did either of you guys play the prequel to Rocket League? It was only on PS3, I think, but it was called, everybody together now knows what I'm talking about, Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they've talked about in multiple documentaries for Rocket League how that was such a bad choice, and it was like taking the jokes of Conan O'Brien's late show where he would have the reoccurring characters with unnecessarily long names and stuff. But no, I love that game. And then Rocket League came out on PS Plus. It was free to play, and I love that game so much. And Brett of Megavisions can also attest to this. Him and I played the crap out of it, but because it was free, we were more than ready to buy the Batmobile when it came out, or whatever else, the cars, the skins, the stuff like the Hot Wheels. There was a prequel thing of car skins and whatever. Eventually, I don't know how it took so long, but eventually there were Hot Wheels collaborations and stuff. But and that game's still going strong. That might be the only game I played as consistently as it's been active, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're like giving out like 5-year anniversary stuff and whatever, and I'm like, I have been playing this as long as it's launched, and I realize that more and more because my ranking is like beyond pro, but I'm not good at the game, so I keep getting thrown into ranked matches with people that are like doing these crazy shots and stuff, and there's no way to change that.
How are you not good at it after 5 years?
I'm okay, but I mean, like, I just don't. They're on different levels, but
yeah.
So, but that's that's an exception. But if it's done right and it's successful, you're either dead in the water or you are flying on your own island with the free to play stuff. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do it.
Like if they are going to do like skins and other things like that, like it's weird unless they let people just get really silly with it. Like how many variations of the typical Halo armor are you going to get with that?
Oh, you can do
the reason
plenty.
Why it works with games like Fortnite is because they can do sponsored stuff. They can have Deadpool in the game and other stuff like that. There's just really cool characters that they can make. But with Halo, you're going to have Master Chief in his suit. So how many variations of that are you really going to have that look different enough and are going to make people want to buy it, compared to something, like Fortnite? I don't know.
Yeah. Unless they do it a different way.
What if instead of him being green, his armor's blue?
Oh, yeah. That changes everything.
Oh, dear. But what if instead of things like armor or new weapons and stuff, they do things like they launch it free to play with 10 maps or whatever, and all the weapons. But then down the line they release another 5 or 10 maps with new vehicles on those maps and stuff. I don't know. Like, would you pay to upgrade for those things, or what would you think? Like, rather than just buying skins, because personally I would if it's more content, more areas to play in. Like Warzone, for example.
What they've been doing forever with Halo?
Not really. No, they don't release new maps as such, do they? From memory.
Was it Forged or whatever? Wasn't there a create a map mode?
Yeah.
Is it called Forged?
But like I played Halo 2 and Halo 3 like multiplayer to death almost, and I
many
don't
people
really
are screaming at us right now through the internet.
I don't remember there being any more
packs
maps
for that.
Did they?
Yeah, because there was times where you try to play multiplayer and it wouldn't let you join a map because or match because you didn't have the maps downloaded and installed.
Jeez, I cannot remember.
I think we're forgetting about. I think we're forgetting about Halo 5, that mode that had like the cards you could unlock, and it would give you different vehicles to start out. What was that mode? You know what I'm talking about, Graham? In 5,
no.
where
I played the Deathmatch for 5
people.
briefly.
You don't like Tony Hawk? Where am I? All right, let me find it. God damn it!
Oh dear. So yeah, 5. I played the campaign. I played the multiplayer like twice. I didn't really do much from 5, partly because Chris, my Halo buddy, wasn't playing Halo 5. God damn it.
I'll play Halo Infinite with you.
Thank you, Scotty. I want you playing Halo Infinite with me as well. Thank you. Let's all play together. Let's go move on to a break, and then we'll be right back after these messages.
What's up, guys? We are on Twitch 3 days a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. What is the internet? But if you go to twitch.tv/Megavisions, Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, you will see us playing everything from Phantasy Star Online 2 to Anarchy Reigns on our Thursday night throwdowns, which we do also invite the community into. And we have coming up on there to be hosted on Twitch is the 24-hour Dreamless Dreamcast Marathon on September 12th. Mark your calendars, but otherwise check us out any day throughout the week. Keep an eye on twitch.tv/Megavision.
Welcome back, everybody, and we're now moving on to our section, the Picks of the Week, where we talk about any movie, TV show, or game we might be playing or watching in the last week, and we think our listeners and audience would like to play as well. So, yeah, let's, Chris, if you can, kick it off.
Sure. Like I was saying before, I've been watching a lot of the Hammer classics from back in the day, and I've of what I've watched is mostly like a lot of the Dracula stuff with Christopher Lee, but I wanted to try something different, so I ended up checking out Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed.
Ooh.
And this came out in like 1969. It stars Peter Cushing as Frankenstein, and it's kind of neat. They do a different spin on the Frankenstein series compared to like what Universal and some other companies did, where they focused on the monster. This is much more focused on Peter Cushing as Frankenstein and him just kind of on the run. And so he ends up coming to England, and there's this other guy called Dr. Brandt, who they were both studying and doing research on trying to resurrect the human brain and be able to transplant the brain into different bodies. And apparently he, Dr. Brandt, finally figured out how to do it. And he was supposed to actually meet Frankenstein. They were going to have like meetings, and he was going to share the knowledge so Frankenstein could go back to his country and continue to do the same thing. But Dr. Brandt ended up going insane like a week or two before they were supposed to meet. So Frankenstein comes into town, and he is looking to start some shit, basically. He ends up staying at this hotel, and it quickly just goes about like trying to plot a plan on how to break Dr. Brandt out of this mental asylum that he's now, been locked up in. And he has to get him out. Then he has to fix his insanity. So then Dr. Brandt can give him all of the procedures on how to transplant a human brain. And it's just kind of neat because at first, like you almost in a way you can understand where Dr. Frankenstein is coming from, because the way he explains it is he's trying to do good for humanity. He's trying, because the way he explains it is, imagine all of the wealth of information that someone accumulates their entire lives, and when they die at the end of their life, that information is just gone. Like you can never go back and get it. But if we can, bring and keep those brains and put them in new bodies, they can continue to help basically humanity. Especially all the like the great scientists and other people that have really helped further just our knowledge on things.
Kim Kardashian.
So from that standpoint, I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. But then he just starts like going and like raping people and just doing weird stuff. Like you're like, okay, so you're definitely a crazy guy who's somehow just using this as as an excuse to chop people up and do stuff. So I ended up really enjoying it. There's Peter Cushing is awesome in it. Obviously, we don't have Christopher Lee in this one, but a lot of the supporting characters are awesome. Veronica Carlson, who is this, she's been in several of the Hammer films. She's like gorgeous in it. This like tall blonde English woman. She's great. All around, I thought it was a pretty good movie. And I'm looking forward to watching more of Hammer's like Frankenstein series because I think Peter Cushing is so good as Dr. Frankenstein.
Wow. That sounds
cool,
insane.
take.
Yeah, that's
really neat.
Because from what you were saying, it sounded like kind of a cool kind of it's going to be wrong, but like a kind of Ocean's 11 break him out of his asylum prison place to like save him, but for whatever reason. But then a lot
of the plot and what happens, but yeah, I mean he ends up like staying at this like kind of this hotel, this long form hotel place, and he ends up basically forcing the woman who owns it and her fiance, who is a doctor who works at the asylum. So he ends up like blackmailing them to work for him, and he just does all these just like really bad, sick, twisted things.
That's so weird.
The end, like the culmination, the final act is really crazy. It just gets wild, and there's this big chase. So there's kind of some action stuff going on. I say check it out if you're interested in kind of some cool English horror. I would definitely give this a suggestion.
So Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. That's the name of the movie.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Wow. And Scotty in the Sky with Diamonds. What is your pick of the week?
Yeah, well, I'm up here. I'll let you know. So I mentioned before Supermarket Sweep on Netflix. There's only 10 episodes on there. Once you're done with that, everybody, fear not. Amazon Prime has got you covered because there are 20 episodes of the 1991 season, whatever that means, and then 40 episodes of the 2000 season.
Wow.
That is 60 episodes of Supermarket Sweep, everybody. What
That's
a deal. No, this show's just fun, and it's been like a highlight of the pandemic that Rachel and I are enjoying this goofy. The host is kind of an asshole sometimes, but the just the mannerisms and just the excitability of people, it's just a good, positive, goofy, fun thing. It's not as, and I guess they're actually bringing it back with I forget her name, who is going to be hosting it. Let me find out. I'm gonna look over here and
why are you doing that? Who is the host of the original American one?
David Rubrick.
I don't know who that is.
I don't think he's done much else.
Does he also host the 2000 one too?
Yes. Leslie Jones is apparently going to be the new host. I don't know how I feel about that because she's funny, but a lot of her humor is just angry and loud sometimes. So I don't know how she's going to do as a game show host.
Okay.
I'm not saying she's just an angry and loud person, but she was in the Ghostbusters, most recent Ghostbusters film, and she's an SNL regular. But anyway, the old Supermarket Sweep is great, and everybody should watch it if you just want to get in a good mood. If you need a quick pick-me-up, the episodes fly by. They're 20 minutes each. I've spoken more about it than most of people on podcasts probably, but it's just so fun and goofy and weird. And like, yeah, it's a good time. I recommend it on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
I wonder if you can get the UK version in America at all and see what you think about that.
You can get the UK version on DVD. We even tried to find the American thing on DVD. Game shows aren't really released on DVDs.
The UK version is just literally watching people sweep in a supermarket.
They made that same joke last week, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks ago.
Did we?
Yes, you did.
I guess I'm reusing my material. God, I got some new material.
Still funny, but awesome, cool.
What about you, Graham?
What have I been up to? Oh no, what am I choosing? So I actually watched this yesterday. It's a movie that came out in 2017. It's called Goodbye, Christopher Robin. Now, have you guys heard of this movie at all?
Yes,
you have. Okay, good.
I thought it was the one with That other guy who was a Jedi.
Ewan McGregor.
Oh, this isn't that movie?
It's not the Ewan McGregor movie. So for
Ewan McGregor. That's it.
So for the audience, the listeners, the watchers at home, Goodbye Christopher Robin is a movie based on the Winnie the Pooh creator A.A. Milne and his family. There is a Ewan McGregor film which came out at a very similar time from memory. I can't remember the exact time.
I think it's just called Christopher Robin.
Yeah, that's just called Christopher Robin. And in that movie, Ewan McGregor, he plays Christopher Robin, and Winnie the Pooh and the characters are kind of alive, or they're still in his imagination or something. He's an adult, but yeah, they're sort of still around, and they sort of kind of like bring him back to his childhood and stuff. This is a different movie. I haven't actually seen that Ewan McGregor one, I have to admit, and I hadn't seen this one before until yesterday. But this one's a bit different. It's more of it's based on a book which is based on true events, and it's about the A.A. Milne, the creator, and his relationship with his son, who is Christopher Robin, and his wife, and basically his family in general, and like about his life and about him creating Winnie the Pooh. So it's a biographical piece, basically, and it's really good. Like, it's actually quite emotional and heartfelt at points. It's quite almost shocking the way that he treated his family in a way. He's not like a mean person, but the way, so when he helped create Winnie the Pooh and the characters with his son, basically, Christopher Robin, and it's all based on like sort of the adventures they created in their heads and stuff, like as kids. He actually had teddy bears and stuff of these characters originally, which were it was like just a bear and like a tiger type bear for Tigger and stuff. And he would like sort of talk about like them in the woods and stuff, because they moved to an area of England, there's a place called Ashdown Forest, and they sort of imagined these creatures living in these woods, this forest around where they lived, and they named the place the 100 Acre Woods, and anyway, effectively, it talks about like how they created it, and the way when it sort of rose to fame very quickly, especially in America as well as England, and the world seemed to love the idea of Christopher Robin, so their child, and they basically kept pushing him forward. So I go to like do news interviews and stuff like this, like interviews for magazines and TV shows and stuff. And they even, when so A.A. Milne and his wife were in America at one point doing a tour, like for signing books and stuff. And Christopher Robin was at home in England. On his birthday, he called him up to say happy birthday and stuff. But they recorded it on a radio show. So it's just a really awkward thing. And like the kid was just like, why was there another person talking on the line? And he just didn't understand. And basically it kind of ruined his childhood, and it's really bad. And in the end, he decided to, like, at the end of school, he decided he wanted to join the army because the World War II is actually breaking out and stuff. So he wanted to become his own person, because the world knew him as this kid who like lived with a bear and stuff, because that book is kind of based on him in a way. Also his mum actually wanted a girl originally, because they just had World War One, and she wanted a girl because she didn't want her son to go to war, because she was afraid there was going to be another war, and she was quite right about that. But she dressed him up like a girl, like in these smocks and stuff. So when you see Christopher Robin in the book wearing these weird sort of almost dress type clothes, they were apparently what he wore in real life. It's quite an interesting take on the story and stuff. And for me, it's quite interesting because I live quite close to Ashdown Forest. It's a real place. And there's a scene in the movie where they go to this little bridge over a tiny little stream, and they drop sticks in over one side of the bridge, and they race the sticks as they flow through the water to the other side of the bridge. And that's actually kind of a game called Pooh Sticks, because they play it in. I think they do it in the books as well and stuff. And that's
we
a real.
We also have a game called Pooh Sticks over here.
Oh dear. But yeah, that's the bridge they showed is the bridge in Ashdown Forest, which I've been to loads of times, and people just go there and drop sticks in it and stuff. It's quite interesting. Like, for me, it's quite interesting. But the movie itself is very beautiful and lovely, and it's an interesting take on the way they sort of treated their son as he was growing up, and yeah, it's quite emotional at times as well. Like, to the point that I don't normally cry in movies, but I sort of got a little bit choked up at one point. I was like, yeah, that's quite sad, that bit. It's lovely movie. I definitely recommend it. Especially if you're into Winnie the Pooh and stuff. It's just quite interesting to see where it came about and all that stuff.
I bet Jamie would like that. I don't know if she's heard of that version of it though, but because we did see the other Christopher Robin, and that was cute. It was a good one to watch with the kids. This one, I like these movies that kind of take a look at either the direct or the original writers. Because there's the one on Tolkien that came out, I think, like a year or so ago, and that was really good. And so this seems really interesting. So
yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, I'd say it's not really one for kids, so because there's nothing really in it for kids, but for adults, I think it's really good. Especially if you ever come to England again, Chris, I can take you there.
Podcast we've done with. Sorry, there might have been lag there. Oh,
go for it, Scotty.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, of the 4 episodes we've done with you, Graham, now 2 out of the 4 you've said you've watched videos or you've watched movies where you've cried and you don't cry that much.
Okay, here's the thing. I didn't cry in this, but I got to the point I was like, oh yeah, like almost welling up. So maybe
is it more depressing than it is entertaining? Like, what would you say?
I'm not saying it's depressing. It's very entertaining. There are a few bits you're kind of like, wow, that's just like fascinating. There's just a couple of almost upsetting moments because you kind of see it from a lot of it from. There's parts kind of from the perspective of the father, but there's also a lot of it from the perspective of the kid, and it's kind of like you kind of do really feel sorry for the kid, his like son. At points, you're just like, wow, like you can't imagine parents these days treating their kids in such a way, but I guess it kind of was the norm back then. We're talking like, between 2 wars, like when he was growing up. So there's sort of depressions and stuff going on in the world and in the country. And, British people were quite reserved back then. And the father as well, actually, he suffered from post-traumatic stress syndrome from World War One. So there's bits like when a balloon would pop, he'd suddenly think he's actually in the war and stuff and just get freaked out and sort of really start to panic. And he sort of, because of that reason, he's kind of distant from his child, at least initially. He's just like, he didn't really want to play with him and stuff because he was just like messed up in the head that little bit and stuff. And yeah, it's just kind
interesting. The mom wanting a daughter thing, because currently it's I don't know how to say this exactly. It's almost it's sexist now to say I have a boy, he needs blue stuff. I have a girl, she needs pink stuff. So in that regard, it's interesting how bad it was to. I mean, she did it in an abusive way. It sounds like, mentally anyway, of trying to make him a girl when he was a boy, not really let him be his own person. But that made me think of that. Like, you shouldn't really only buy Barbies because you have a girl and stuff like that. But it sounds like this was a very different thing like that. I don't know. That started turning my gears a little bit, thinking about crap like that.
Yeah,
I mean, by crap, I mean mean stuff like parents would do. But
yeah, and it's just. I think originally they gave him the smocks to wear because they'd actually bought a load of girls' clothes because they just really wanted a girl and they thought they'll have a girl if they believe it. And then they just sort of dressed him up in these girly clothes, and that's kind of just what he wore as a child. Yeah, unfortunately not.
Yeah,
but, it's just. Yeah, it was just quite interesting. But yeah, check it out. Goodbye, Christopher Robin. Good movie. I don't think it's actually available anything to watch for free as such, but you can buy it from Amazon, like Apple Movies, Xbox is on Xbox as well. But yeah, it's really, really good. Really beautiful movie. So
Ashdown Forest also sounds like a town in Lord of the Rings or something. After the war, the big fire, they call it Ashdown Forest now,
Man, and if you actually go to Ashdown Forest in the UK, it's not really a forest anymore. There's a lot of trees around, but it's not a big forest because they deforested it back in like the Tudor times to make battleships. So a lot of trees would so it's more like a few patches of woods around. And there is a lot of trees around, but it's not really, you don't think of it like a massive forest. It's really weird. The main bit you're driving along, it's just open area. Like, this is not a forest I'm in right now. It's just really bizarre.
Have they tried to like replant it and to make it?
So there are trees and stuff sprouting, and there's lots of shrubberies and bush, and there's a lot of nature around there. It's just there hasn't really grown back in the foresty way that it was originally, apparently. But it's a beautiful place. Actually, it's lovely to go around. Next time you guys are over, come along.
I was going to say, I remember when that happened, when Jamie and I were watching The Tudors, when he demanded that the forest be like cut down so they could build ships to rival, was it Spain, I think, at the time?
Yeah, I think, Spain had a massive armada, Spanish armada. Yeah, we got into a lot of ship battles back in those days, apparently. Wow. But yeah, so I guess that does it for our picks of the week. And that means we are going to move on to our feature discussion. Which this week we're doing a slightly different one. So we've been mixing up our discussions each week. And this one, it's called Tell Me I'm Wrong. And with Tell Me I'm Wrong, each time we do this, one of us is going to pick a subject or a topic about a game or a movie that we sort of fly against the popular opinion on. So it could be there's a movie that's really popular and we think, actually, this movie's not that good. And these are the reasons why. We talk about why they are, like it's not so good. Or, yeah. So this week, Tell Me I'm Wrong is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie with Scotty Moe at the helm here. So, Scotty, what is it that you're going to tell? What is it that you're flying in the face of, basically?
Get ready to be hated by the internet, Scotty.
Yes. Prepare yourself.
Bring it the hell on. Are you kidding me? I don't think the Sonic movie is as great as everyone thinks it is, and I honestly don't think it's that great of a movie.
What?
You told, like, the way you said it before is like you like really don't like this movie. There's characters you hated in this movie.
Yeah. So when we talked about it previously, we had a couple of us on, and in retrospect, we probably should have had less people than we did, just because there were so many, not back and forth, but just too much. Rachel and I saw it twice. Okay. Saw it opening day, and walked out of there thinking, like, that was, I don't know, it was all right, I guess. And then we saw like the internet explode, thinking like, "This is great! Finally, Sonic's represented in a movie, and like how he should be. This is what the fans needed. This is amazing, perfect timing. I'm glad they delayed it. We got the look that we wanted. We got all that. People lost their jobs, but we got Sonic." I'm not saying everyone was like that. So we thought, like, did we see a different movie? So we were just like so baffled that everyone loved it so much, and we walked out of there thinking like, they could have put any other character in place of Sonic, and it's the exact same movie. And Rachel was like, "Yeah, we could just go watch Hop, because that's the other James Marsden CG talking creature buddy film." What's his what is his name? Something Brand. I don't know if he's English or if he's
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand does the voice of a rabbit in an Easter Bunny movie with James Marsden. Yeah. So it's again James Marsden, and people like put side by side the road trip photo of the bunny in the passenger seat, Sonic in the passenger seat. But so that was, all that crap. So we went and saw it a second time because I was like, let's give it a second shot. Maybe we went in too hyped up, too whatever. And for those that can't hear or can't see this, whatever, I have a Sonic tattoo. Just to clarify that I am a big Sonic fan, I guess.
You hate him that much. Like, you want to remind yourself every time. God damn it, that's the guy I hate right there, like Memento.
On my skin, part of my body.
Can't never get rid of this. Okay.
I just didn't. I didn't think it was as great as everybody thought it was. I didn't understand why people thought it was amazing. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the worst movie ever, but I don't want this to also just be a complaint train which is now a phrase, I guess. I appreciate that they changed his design, but I did not enjoy the references left and right, like the pop culture references. Okay. I thought the characters in it, like the side characters, were kind of useless. I thought that the sister-in-law made the least amount of sense in the movie, because when we first saw it, I went to the bathroom and I came back and it was like her second scene showing up in the movie. And I asked Rachel, I was like, did they introduce her when I was gone? And she was like, no, no, you didn't miss anything. I was like, who is this lady? And then the last thing I'll say, it teaches kids to not follow their dreams. Because Tom wants to be a cop in San Francisco, and instead of following his dreams, Sonic convinces him to stay in this small town and settle, where you can jump people's cars and let ducks cross the street, and life is fine like that. So I didn't think that was a great message for children, but
Interesting.
Jim Carrey's fun. A lot of times it didn't make sense if you want, like, that's not Eggman, that's not Robotnik, but Ben Schwartz I dig. Ben Schwartz is an awesome person and comedian. And I don't have like a vendetta against it. I just legitimately don't understand why people thought it was a great film, because we thought it was just another animated buddy film. And other than his rings everywhere, like, you could have tossed any animal in there and it would have been the exact same movie.
Okay, interesting.
So I hope I don't sound like I'm just raging because I didn't want it to just be a screaming Twitter feed of my point of view.
That's kind of the point of this thing. Let's bring it out there.
Well,
So, Chris, do you want to take this first, or like, how do you feel about this movie? Like, what is your opinion? Are you agreeing with Scotty? Has Scotty made some valid points? So you think actually he's right? Maybe it's not that great, or are you like, God damn it, that's the best movie I've ever seen?
I think he makes some points, but there's also a lot that I do disagree with. First off, I don't think this is like the greatest movie in the world. I do think it played it very safe, and I think it played it safe, and it was a fairly generic story. I disagree that you could just take Sonic out and put any other thing in there, and it makes the same amount of sense, because there's a lot of the movie and the plot that hangs on Sonic's abilities and his speed and other things like that. And a lot of that is like a kind of a focus of different scenes, and it sets up for those scenes. Like the bar fight one is a good example, I guess. And other things like that. So I think that it made sense. I think the way they built this movie made sense for a general audience of people going to see a movie. Like, they didn't deviate too much. They didn't like focus like on these like super meta, plot points that no one else is even going to understand. I think that it laid out the story. It was logical in the sense that Sonic had a goal and he needed to get there, and Robotnik, you understood like what he was doing. So I think what the biggest thing is that people expected this movie to be so bad with the design of Sonic. Yeah. They thought it was just going to be so just terrible. And it was kind of weird because I think they unveiled it at the right time. The redesign of Sonic is what I'm referring to, because that got people back into it. And then the movie came out, and it was actually a decently solid movie. And I think with that new wave of enthusiasm and positivity that people had coming into the movie, based on the reveal of the new design, I think that helped a lot. And it just was word of mouth that continued to spread, because if I remember correctly, like, it was doing really well. I think it topped the box office at least 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I believe.
And it destroyed Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie. People were trying to review bomb it.
I think a lot of that too was just the name of the Harley Quinn movie. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's their own supersonic acrobatic rocket power battle cars. Yeah,
they got too cute with it. But yeah, no, it was. I mean, you do also have to give credit to the Sonic movie for doing that as well. And so I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, Scotty, but for me, I enjoyed it, and I think they did what they needed to do with this movie. It made a crap ton of money, and there's going to be a sequel now. So
on the money front. Oh, I was going to say, on the money front, just so anyone listening or watching, the budget was apparently around between $81 to $95 million, and it took, from the box office, over $300 million. So commercially, it was a success, which is pretty damn impressive, actually, I think. And so,
Valentine's Day over here. Did it release on Valentine's Day for you, Graham?
It did as well, yeah. So, yeah, it released on Valentine's Day this year. That's the crazy thing. It was released only a few months ago.
Wait, what?
The last movie a lot of people saw before the pandemic. The last movie in 2020 people saw in theaters.
It's nuts. Mid-February.
So long ago. I thought this was last year, honestly. I really did.
It's nuts.
That's
crazy.
I actually do want to touch on what Chris said, because you have a good point, and it does put it into a lot of different perspectives where okay, before it was even any press or anything was out, one, it's a video game movie. It's gonna be a dumpster fire. I'm on the internet. Mario Brothers is actually good. All that stuff. But I forgot about that. And then also, when the marketing came out, it did nothing but help this because it was so horrifying what he looked like with his physique and his weirder nose and the teeth. We'll never forget about the teeth. Just like his Sonic doesn't have fucking thighs or biceps. Like, what's going on? But I forgot about that. So it's kind of like the bar was already like, if this is where the movie ended up, or if this is where the movie ended up being, like, first it was here, but then it's like, oh, video game movie. Oh, look at that marketing. What, his teeth? Like, it goes lower and lower to the point that when it comes out and it's a decent movie, I think that also played a part in this is great. Partially.
I'm not going to give them credit for being being all these many steps ahead of everybody. I think they stumbled ass backwards into this, and this was not some part of master plan like a lot of people were suggesting, that this was the original design all along, and this was just a marketing stunt. I think a lot of it just played out.
Nobody
just
does
the
that
way they said is that okay, like we're going to take everyone's feedback. Maybe they did have a design that was more like that conceptually early on, and they decided to go a different way with it. And then they kind of went back to that design and fleshed it out. And then that's kind of what we saw. I'm not going to give them the credit.
That's the thing too. And Rob, Sketchcraft mentioned this when we talked about it as well. Like, no one in their right mind would put out a bad looking thing in hopes that it explodes like this. And the proof in the pudding is that there was no shirts, like no toys, nothing for this movie. No merchandising for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Stuff that Sega's still putting out from that looked like him in '91. You're telling me that they did this on purpose and then there's no toys or shirts or anything for the new Sonic look? Like, yeah, they definitely did not plan on, guys, you know what? Let's tattoo a swastika on his arm. Let's see what happens then. It's not, nobody does that stuff on purpose.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Graham?
So I actually rewatched this today, a few hours ago before the show, just to refresh it in my mind. I've seen it a couple of times already, so it's now my third time I've seen it. And honestly, I still really like it. I'm on the same page as you guys saying it's not the greatest movie ever made. However, I think it's a very fun family movie that is just, I don't expect a huge amount from these sort of family movies. I always expect a simple plot, sort of good guy, bad guy. For whatever reason, the bad guy wants to do something to the good guy or stop the good guy, or the good guy has to stop the bad guy from doing something. Very simple plots. So I'm happy with that. I think it works with what the Robotnik character kind of makes sense, because I feel like because they're almost introducing the characters into this movie, and even though we kind of know about them, the way Robotnik is portrayed, I think, is really good, because it fits in with the fact they're in a human world, whereas in the original Sonic games, like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, you're kind of in Sonic's world, so Robotnik's just like almost invaded that world in a sense. So it's a little bit different, it's a little bit flipped around. And I really like Jim Carrey's portrayal of Robotnik, even though it's not necessarily quite the same as what you see in the original video games. He's not a big fat guy, but I like what they did with him, and I think he actually does it very well. I thought that Sonic was great. Ben Schwartz, I think he did a great job as portraying Sonic. I just thought it was very humorous. I like the humor behind it, and I like the way that Sonic kind of is he's almost like a small child, like teenager, kind of the way he behaves and stuff, and his outlook on life. I think is really good. I actually really enjoyed all the pop culture references, and I like the thing that I liked about them was it wasn't too heavy. So it wasn't like you have to know about the video games to find some of the jokes funny. For example, like when he reads the Flash comic book and stuff, like, a lot of people know about the Flash. He's a fast character. So it's just kind of funny that, a fast Sonic being a fast character is reading a comic book about a fast character. There's loads of like little in-jokes about the Sonic games and stuff, which are just kind of funny. For video game players, we're like, oh, look, that's that. I know about that, but other people watching it won't get lost. They won't think that's really weird. Why do they add that in? They just It kind of feels natural to the movie. But then there's other things that are funny for newbies to Sonic. For example, what's his name? Crazy Carl, who is the only person in the town who's ever seen Sonic before. He draws a picture of what he thinks Sonic looks like, and they've basically taken the Sonic the Hedgehog meme, that really bad drawing of Sonic.
Sonic.
He's basically holding it up, and that's what they're using. And people who don't know really about Sonic, the Sonic meme, they just see that and they just think it's a funny drawing. So it kind of, the joke rings both ways, basically. So for fans of Sonic and who know about the meme will be like, haha, that's pretty funny. Whereas other people, yeah, he's just done a really bad drawing, but it's still funny for them as well. So
I still think that's Will Forte. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay,
that plays him.
I hope what they do in a future Sonic game is, I would love to see the scene when the dancing scene with Robotnik, but done with the video game form of Robotnik, where he's all fat and stuff, but he's still doing the same thing with the music and everything. I think that would be perfect. I would love
it could happen.
Or just someone make it. I mean, what are we waiting for? That's what the internet's for. Go out and make that. Why don't we have that?
Yeah, I just generally think it's a fun movie. It's I like that bar fight scene. I know Scotty, you sort of groaned when Chris mentioned that. I thought that was very good.
It's so stupid,
but
it's so fucking dumb that they're like, we're running from the government. We can kill an hour in a bar. I just got off the phone with the government agent that's chasing me. Let's kill an hour in a bar. It'll be fine.
It's the bucket list, Scotty.
It's the bucket list.
While I'm listing plot holes, though, at the end, he could, when they get to San Francisco, why couldn't he just run up the side of the building with his Sonic speed and get the dumb bag of rings? Also,
he did say something he couldn't do that for some reason.
Something about the elevator. It didn't make sense. And then when they walk into the ground floor of the building that his bag of rings is on top of, he had just met up with his girlfriend or wife. I don't remember. At his sister-in-law's house, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're all over the TV. You're a national felon or whatever." Blah blah blah.
They think they claim he's a terrorist.
Walk into the lobby, and yet when they walk into the lobby of this, he shows her his ID, the lady at the desk, and she just, I guess, wasn't keeping up with current events to know that he's being hunted by the government and everything. So go right ahead, Wyoming cop.
That's that bit I was, when I rewatched it today, I was like, actually, yeah, she would, because he's been announced as a national terrorist or whatever, he's a national threat. That bit I was a bit like,
pre-COVID or LA?
I don't think they didn't know he was there at that time, that they knew he was on the run. He had been on the news. So. When they're in the motel, he saw himself on the news being portrayed, and so I guess they would make national news saying there's a terrorist and this guy's on the run. So that was one bit I was a bit like,
I don't trust people keep up with the news that much.
If it wasn't put on Twitter, then you're just not going to know. But
I have a question for you, Graham.
Okay.
Do you have Olive Garden in the United Kingdom?
No, we do not.
Did any of those jokes make sense to you?
I kind of know them from American pop culture references like movies and TV shows, so some of it did make sense. So yeah, when he gives him like they give them the Olive Garden card and stuff or whatever. That was like, I kind of thought
those two things were cringy as hell. when he says to his wife, when she says, because when you're here, he goes, your family. I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's how everyone talks. And then the end, when the government agent shows up and he's like, and he gives them the $50 Olive Garden gift card, and he's like, have you tried the pasta bowl, or have you tried the never ending pasta bowl? I'm like, fucking drop dead. This isn't funny. But I'll give it two individual thumbs up for each of these jokes. Jim Carrey's when he says, I was spitting out formula when you were spitting up formula, and James Marsden goes, well, I was breastfed, so and Carrey goes, good. Or he's like, nice, rub that in my orphan face. I actually laughed at that line, and the other Jim Carrey line I laughed at was when he said, oh shit, he's like, something is now it's not time to talk, it's time to push buttons or something like that.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh for some reason. What's that line? I forget it now.
Yeah, it's basically what he says, like, now's not the time to talk, it's time to push buttons or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that made me funny because he was actually mad, and that's the best comeback he could say was, it's time to push buttons, and how he says it through his teeth was great.
Yeah.
But I hate the pop culture references. Like, when Sonic's on one of those drones and he goes, "Can you believe Amazon is going to deliver packages with these things?" And how he says, "I feel like I'm in Fast and the Furious. It's all about family, Tom." I'm just like,
oh, I love it.
I love doing this stuff. This is so fun.
So am I, but I hated that. I snickered. No. I snickered when he landed on Robotnik's Badnik thing going towards him, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Sonic. Welcome back to my live stream." Like, for a second, I was like, "That's funny," and I was like, "On 10 years, that's not going to mean anything." But
I thought it was great, and I love the bit when Sonic's sort of he's getting like the blue electricity around him, like when they're in the car chase bit, and he basically like flies off the car because James Marsden like accelerates, and he sort of falls off the car, and in midair he spins, and then Spit rolls into the vehicle, like, and destroys the vehicle, and he's like, "How are you still alive?" He's like, "I've got no idea." Like, I thought that was actually quite funny because it's just, yeah. And then he made another joke, like, when James Marsden was like gonna like hit the robot thing afterwards. He's like, "Hey, why don't you try rolling into a ball? That seems to work." Like, I just thought it was quite good. So all that stuff, I
flossed.
And that's the one thing I didn't like was the flossing. I don't know why that just annoys me. The whole flossing thing in the world just annoys me.
Now. That's the thing.
I'll take a dab over floss any day.
Yeah, indeed. I'm still not a huge fan of dabbing either. I'm just like, I don't get why it's so good. But yeah,
I remember you tried to start flossing during the marathon, and I yelled at you I said no flossing in this fucking house or something like that.
I will say though, I mean, for as many dumb, stupid scenes there are in this movie, and I mean, you guys pointed out a lot of them.
Sorry.
I do think there's some good scenes as well. Like I really loved the scene with Sonic at the baseball field. And just him, like, you got a sense of like his loneliness, and he's just out there kind of playing with himself.
That wasn't bad,
literally, but and then you also saw, you know, his speed and like what all it could do. I mean, it caused like this massive like blackout. But I thought I felt bad for him.
Yeah,
at that scene, you know, and it.
I think
pretty cool.
I think the movie for me became insufferable when Sonic started interacting with humans.
Right.
I think that was because
that's the problem with a lot of these movies, though. When you have a mixture of live action and like animated, is, you know, how well does that other side mesh with the humans? And oftentimes it's the humans that are the crappy part, you know.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's not. Yeah, it's not really fair to criticize that, but yeah, I just didn't like how he interacted with how Sonic did, like the catchphrases and all that crap and whatever. But I'm hoping that in the next one there's more CG, and then they go to Sonic's world or whatever. We can talk about that another time, what we want in the sequel. But I
would be interested, Scotty, with like you saying, you know, like with everything you said about this one, if they did make a sequel, like other than just the setting, like what would you want to see that would make it be kind of the movie that you would say, like, this is actually a really good sequel?
Well, one last thing I do want to say is two things that I enjoyed was the credits done in a 16-bit style was really cool. The Tails teaser at the end, post-credit, it was like mid-credits or whatever. It was weird that Tails' Tails became 2 from 1. Because I've never seen that happen anywhere. I don't know. I didn't catch it the first couple of times. I don't know if you caught it this time, Graham.
No, I didn't actually.
Because it definitely, like, when he's standing there and the camera's facing him, you see that he has one tail, but then when the camera goes behind him and he jumps, right before he jumps off, it splits into 2, and then he flies. And also, I didn't notice until this viewing that he, like, is going crazy fast when he's flying, like Sonic levels of speed, which doesn't make sense. Maybe they equate to that somehow. It was very cool seeing Tails. Like, that got me excited for the end, and seeing Robotnik slowly lose his sanity. I will agree that I think they did interject Robotnik in a good way, because otherwise why would there just be this random really smart guy making robots? They could have done it this is a different tangent, but they could have gone like the more modern but less coherent route as they did with Mysterio in the newest Spider-Man movie, and he's just got a lot of drones. That's another topic for another day. But what I'm saying is they could have made Robotnik way less believable as this actual human being. I think in a sequel, I would like more CG stuff, and I would like less human characters just overall. As a blanket statement, I would love to see more of the echidnas, of course, since Knuckles is my boy. And I would like to see Sonic smash more stuff. Like if I could pick favorite parts of the movie, it's when he's being a badass, like skating around on those hovering saw blades and stuff, like stuff like that. I would if the whole movie was that, I'd be fine with it. Just him hopping on stuff and bouncing off crap and whatever.
That's fair.
I would love just to see the next one set all in Sonic's world, and because the opening bit where you saw him in Green Hill Zone, and that was so awesome. Like just seeing him.
That's another thing, though. What are they going to call that? Because he was in Green Hills on planet Earth. I don't know. Well, that's getting super nitpicky. I'm sorry.
How like our world gets fused with his world, and Green Hill Zone is now transformed into modern Green Hill Zone or something.
He goes to Brooklyn. He follows this chick named Daisy. She falls into a wall for some reason, and bada bing, bada boom. There's dinosaurs.
Oh dear. One other bit I just want to mention that I really enjoyed, and it made me laugh again watching it today, was the bit when suddenly like Sonic's like looking at the camera and he's like, "So, you're the best friend he keeps talking about," and it just cuts back to the dog just sitting there going, I don't know why I love that bit, because it's so good.
I did catch one more thing. I'll give them credit. When the sister-in-law, when he barges into her house and he has Sonic in like a satchel or something, and she's like, "What do you got in there? Is it plutonium? Emails? What do you got?" Like, I was like, oh my god, I haven't thought about Hillary and her emails since before that movie, so what's happening? Whatever. I don't know. I just didn't my overall statement, I don't want to sound like I am the perfect Sonic fan. This did not apply to me, because if they went and like showed up like, "Oh, there's Princess Sally Acorn," that's not going to appeal to the masses. Nobody's going to know what's going on. I want two things in the next movie, all right? More of Sonic's world. Get Jaleel White in there somehow. Get him in there somehow. He did the voice of Sonic for so much of the 90s. Just toss him in there some way, shape, or form. Even if it's like, I saw, I'm going to steal Andre Black Nerd Comedy's idea. If they somehow got either Shadow or Metal Sonic in there, it would make sense, honestly, if Robotnik's been stranded forever and he's got all this time and he somehow creates a Metal Sonic because he's obsessed with Sonic now to make him fight him, or maybe even make that happen. He gets destroyed real quick. Oh, surprise, I've been messing around with genetic engineering. Here's Shadow.
Yeah,
this is the one time I'll say maybe put Shadow in something.
I would love to see Metal Sonic as being like the kind of the main bad guy or whatever. Aside,
I'd love to see how they pull that off.
Robotnik, but that would be really cool. And then maybe tease Shadow at the end to set up a trilogy.
Well, they could do it the way he teams up with Knuckles for most of the movie. Like Eggman teams up with Knuckles for most of the movie, because in Sonic and Knuckles has been tricked into believing that Sonic is the bad guy, so he could somehow do that for a movie and stuff. I think that could work. That could be fun. Get Knuckles in there that way.
Wait, I meant that he like takes his place or whatever?
So, as in, like, the sort of kind of storyline for Sonic and Knuckles in Sonic 3 was that Robotnik had basically tricked Knuckles into believing that Sonic was the bad guy, as it were. So that's why Knuckles is kind of against Sonic. I'd be fine if that's how
they introduce
him. Yeah, because I think that could be quite a fun way to introduce him and stuff. Like, maybe that could be for the third movie. I don't know. I would like to see Robo Sonic appear. Not Metal Sonic, Robo Sonic from Sonic 2, because no one ever talks about him anymore.
Oh, okay.
The little silver, or like sometimes call him Silver Sonic, the one who actually looks...
Yeah.
I really liked him. But he's never in any games, and no one talks about him. The poor guy. Anyway,
he lasted a while in the comics, in the Archie comics, if I remember the plot correctly. But that's another thing for another time.
Yeah, but so So just to wrap this up, I guess in a way, Chris, has Scotty convinced you that the Sonic Hedgehog movie is actually a bad movie, or no?
No, I'm still going to say it. I think it's a fine movie. It's not great, but I think it did what it set out to do. It made a crap ton of money, and we're getting a sequel. So
fair enough.
I'm afraid that if maybe it went the other way and like focused too much on the traditional Sonic fans, I don't know if it would have made that much money.
No, I don't think it would have.
We'd be getting a sequel, and so
yeah. See, this for me, this is kind of almost final thoughts, I guess. I felt this is a good balance for Sonic fans. That's what those references did. They helped Sonic fans and stuff, but also just introduced maybe new people to it, or just people who might just know about Sonic, but they don't really care about the games and other stories so much. So it's kind of just a good down the line. As you said, Chris, earlier, they kind of played it safe, but I think that worked really well for this. But Scotty, I assume anything we said that didn't change your mind either. You still think it's not a very good movie?
Chris reminded me that the bar was set low to begin with, so for it to, I guess it would take more for people to not like this movie than like it where it came from eventually, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I have not. Okay, I am very materialistic. I have not bought this movie, and
wow.
I will. Somehow comes in a 2-pack, and the next one stars Knuckles. That's what I'm speaking with my wallet harder than anything. I just don't think it was that great.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So, but I appreciate you guys having a calm and collected debate on it, because this is probably the most polite discussion that's ever happened about a Sonic movie on the internet. I will say one other thing related to this, because Ben Schwartz is awesome. I highly recommend everyone watch the Polygon interview with him, and I forget the dude's name. I'm sorry, but it's hilarious. The chemistry they have is great in that. Yeah, Polygon interview with Ben Schwartz.
Brilliant. Cool. So I guess that wraps it up and wraps up the show for this week, everybody. So thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah. Catch you later.
We're out. Oh, yeah, I can tell I'm hungover. It's stupid. So I grabbed applesauce.
Applesauce.
Normally it's like, it's like, I needed something carbonated. I'll get a soda. We don't have that anymore. We don't really get sodas, and it's like, maybe we got Gatorade. No, we don't have Gatorades anymore. I need electrolytes. And I'm just like talking to Rachel. I'm like, I can tell I'm hungover, because as soon as we started recording, I got too relaxed, and I'm like just tired and fatigued. So I grabbed applesauce to get something in me. I don't understand.